all the gods, they cannot sever us. If I were dead and you still fighting for life, I'd come back from the darkness, back from the pit of hell, to fight at your side.
I've got another Kickstarter alert for you, so let's check it out. Hello, Boardgame Barbarians. Monolith just launched the Conan the Conqueror Adventure Mode expansion. This Kickstarter is actually offering two options to backers. First, you can either back for just the new expansion, or secondly, if you missed out on the original Kickstarter, they are offering limited pledges for the first edition printing, and that includes Kickstarter Exclusives and stretch goals from the original campaign back in 2015. So if you're interested in that, you might want to pause this video now, go to the Kickstarter campaign and back for one of those pledges before supplies run out. I have the link in the description below, and I'll be here when you get back. Okay, now that you're back, make sure that you like this video and also subscribe, because I always have your back, and I'll be letting you know of any early birds or Kickstarter exclusives for upcoming Kickstarters that you won't want to miss. This is actually just my Kickstarter alert video, and I'll be doing a follow-up video before this campaign ends to let you know of any updates since this Kickstarter launched, and also to let you know if I'll be backing this or not. So make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss that either. So before I dig into the expansion, I just want to go over some of the first edition pledges and let you know some of the limitations and what you can expect for each of those pledges. So all items from the first edition are already at their shipping hubs, which means that they can only ship to a limited number of locations. This means that they can only ship to Europe and North America, excluding Mexico. So if your shipping address isn't in one of those countries, you might just want to skip ahead to where I talk about the expansion, and I'll have a reference to that timestamp in the description below. Monolith is hopeful that they'll run another campaign to offer reprints for most of those older items worldwide. So the first thing I want to say is all of these first edition pledges do include the new expansion. So there's no option for you to only get the original without the expansion. So the first pledge is the Barbarian Conqueror Pledge, and it goes for 149 euros or about $161 US, which is about $214 Canadian. It includes the new expansion in the core game and stretch goals from the original 2015 Kickstarter, but with updated rules. And then we have the King Conqueror Pledge, which goes for 169 euros or $183 US, which is about $243 Canadian. This includes everything I just mentioned in the previous pledge, plus the King Pledge exclusives from the original campaign. The King Pledge exclusives include a bunch of extra minis, some dice, but the really interesting part is it adds 4 additional scenarios, plus some extra heroes you can use to change up your gameplay. So if you're deciding between these two pledges, you might want to think, how valuable is the King Pledge extras to you? Because they're going to cost you an extra 20 euros or $22 USD, which is about $29 Canadian. One thing to note is that these pledges do not include the Kickstarter exclusive add-ons from the original campaign. They might be offering those in the Pledge Manager after this campaign, but you can expect those to be in limited supply as well. So if I subtract the cost of the new expansion from these pledges, I can get an idea of what you're actually paying for the original content. And I thought I was doing my math here wrong, but it turns out you're actually paying a bit less than in the original campaign. So for the Barbarian Conqueror Pledge, you're actually going to be paying about $65 USD for this, rather than the original $90. And for the King's Pledge, you're paying about $87 US instead of the original $135. So you're actually getting a pretty big discount, and that's pretty awesome. So now I'm going to move on to the Conqueror Pledge, which doesn't include any original content, and it's only the new expansion. So to play this expansion, you're only required to have the core version of the game, but you'll find more options in some of the scenarios if you have the Kickstarter exclusives from the previous Kickstarter. So this pledge comes with 2 items. It comes with a box with all the new minis and materials you'll need to play the expansions, and then it comes with a Tome of Skelos, which will have all the new scenarios for you to play. This will include 6 brand new scenarios for the adventure mode, plus 1 additional adventure mode scenario, assuming that we hit the stretch goal for it. This will also include the rules for the solo or co-op campaign, which removes the need for a player playing as the Overlord, so you can actually all play on the same team against the game, and that will be a 7 scenario campaign. Inside the expansions box, you'll find 55 new miniatures, 2 new maps, 20 pieces of equipment, and spell cards. So you might have noticed that each of these pledges offer the stretch goals as a free optional add-on, and that's because a lot of these miniatures are included in some of their previous campaigns. So if you already have those miniatures, you can opt out of getting them and help save the environment and your shelf space. But one thing to note is these will only be free for people who actually pledged for a reward during the campaign. So I don't think it's going to be free if you pledge for $1 and then back it in the pledge manager. I'm sure there'll be more add-ons added before this campaign ends, but currently there's just the one, and it's an expansion called The Tales of the Red Brotherhood, and that adds 4 more adventure mode scenarios for €19. The best way to pledge for a campaign like this is to pledge now and lock in your reward, and it also helps with reaching stretch goals. And then subscribe to my channel, hitting that bell icon, because I'll be doing a follow-up video before this campaign ends to go over all the updates and let you know if I'll be backing it. That's it for this video, so until next time, keep that shelf cluttered and the table full.